Have you ever made a decision and later wondered, what was I even thinking? In today's video, we're going to explore something that can help you avoid those regrets and questionable calls. In fact, it's all about one of the most crucial skills you can develop for success and fulfillment: critical thinking. In a world overloaded with information, decision-making can feel overwhelming. We're constantly bombarded by opinions, advertisements, social media, and more. Under these conditions, it's easy to make snap judgments based on biases and assumptions. That's where critical thinking comes in. It's your intellectual toolkit, a way to filter out the noise, analyze claims, and make well-informed decisions that align with your goals and values. Over the next few minutes, we'll dive deep into what critical thinking really is, why it matters, and how it benefits your personal and professional life. Real-life examples of critical thinking in action, common barriers that stand in the way of thinking critically, proven approaches, like questioning, analyzing assumptions, and reverse engineering, that can sharpen your decision-making. A practical process you can implement to cultivate a habit of deliberate thought and decisive action. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to strengthen your critical thinking muscle and make better decisions. Let's jump right in. What is critical thinking? There are many definitions out there, but at its core, critical thinking is the disciplined process of actively analyzing, synthesizing, evaluating, and reflecting on information. It's about digging deeper, going beyond surface-level impressions, and using logic and reason to arrive at well-founded conclusions. Critical thinking involves questioning the validity of information, seeking evidence, considering different points of view, and being open-minded, yet discerning in your judgment. It's not about being cynical or negative. Rather, it's about being constructively skeptical, examining facts thoroughly before forming an opinion or making a decision. When it comes to decision-making, critical thinking serves as the backbone. Whether you're deciding which career path to follow, which product to purchase, or how to approach a personal relationship, critical thinking guides you to weigh pros and cons based on credible evidence and logical reasoning. It helps you identify potential biases, both your own and others. By doing so, you can step back from emotionally driven, knee-jerk reactions and base your decisions on a more objective foundation. Some benefits of critical thinking are better problem solving. With strong critical thinking, you can dissect problems more efficiently and look at potential solutions from multiple angles. Confidence in decision-making. When you've done your due diligence in collecting information and evaluating it, you naturally feel more confident about the choices you make. Enhanced creativity. Believe it or not, critical thinking can stimulate creativity. By challenging assumptions, you open the door to new ideas and approaches. Personal growth. Continuous questioning and learning lead to personal development. You become more self-aware, more curious, and more adaptable to change. Effective communication. Strong critical thinking skills can help you express your ideas more logically and listen to others more effectively, resulting in clearer dialogue and better mutual understanding. In short, critical thinking helps you navigate life's complexities. It's a foundational skill that empowers you to act deliberately, rather than just reacting to circumstances as they happen. Now let's take a look at critical thinking in action. This can be found in everyday scenarios, big or small. Sometimes we think about critical thinking as only belonging in academic debates or boardrooms, but in reality, it's everywhere. Let's say you're considering a new credit card offer. The advertisement promises 0 interest for 12 months and huge rewards. A critical thinker won't just take the ad at face value. You'd read the fine print, look for any hidden fees, check interest rates after the promotional period, and compare competing offers. By doing this, you'd make a more informed decision, possibly saving yourself from high interest rates in the future. Another instance is selecting a new health plan. Instead of following a friend's recommendation blindly, a critical thinker would gather facts, the monthly premiums, the deductibles, which hospitals and doctors are in network, and the total potential out-of-pocket cost. You'd weigh these factors according to your unique health needs and financial situation, rather than just relying on hearsay. At work, imagine you're on a team that's falling behind schedule. A critical thinker would analyze why the team is behind, lack of resources, unclear objectives, or miscommunication, and then propose solutions to address each root cause. You'd bring your findings to your team, invite feedback, and refine the strategy until you have a solid plan. In these examples, notice the themes: gathering information, evaluating it, and forming logical conclusions. You identify potential biases, ask clarifying questions, and remain open to new data until you can move forward with confidence. Despite knowing the benefits of critical thinking, we often struggle to apply it in our daily lives. So let's talk about the barriers. Some barriers we create are: 1. Confirmation bias. We have a natural tendency to seek out information that confirms what we already believe. If we think a certain diet works, for instance, we might only read success stories and ignore studies that show contrary results. 2. Emotional reasoning. Strong emotions, anger, fear, excitement, can overshadow logic. When we let our emotions drive us, we risk making hasty decisions. 3. Ego and pride. Sometimes we don't want to admit we're wrong. Our personal identity might be tied to a belief or opinion, making it tough to change our minds even when faced with solid evidence. 4. Lack of curiosity. If you're not interested in learning or probing deeper, it's easy to accept surface-level facts as truth. Additionally, there are barriers from other sources. For example, 1. Social pressure. Family, friends, and society at large can influence what we believe. We might conform to avoid conflict or rejection. 2. Misinformation and disinformation. With the internet, it's never been easier to come across misleading or false information. Without careful scrutiny, we can adopt faulty viewpoints. 3. Authority bias. We might accept someone's claims simply because they're an authority figure or an expert, without verifying the facts for ourselves. 4. Time constraints. In a fast-paced environment, we often make decisions under pressure, leaving little room for in-depth analysis. The good news is, by understanding these barriers, you can develop strategies to overcome them. Awareness is the first step. Once you know what's holding you back, you can consciously work to remove or reduce these obstacles. Next, let's discuss approaches that can bolster your critical thinking, practical tools and mindsets you can use right away. Let's look at some questions you can ask yourself. Ask yourself, what do I know? Before analyzing, clarify what's factually known versus assumed. How do I know it? Identify the source of your information. Is it reliable? Is it backed by data or evidence? What am I missing? Look for gaps in your knowledge. A single piece of research or one perspective might not tell the whole story. Who benefits from this claim? Consider possible motives behind a piece of information. By systematically asking these questions, you're more likely to spot holes in reasoning or areas that need more exploration. We all have assumptions. Some are conscious, others are unconscious. For instance, you might assume that a high-priced product is automatically better, or that an older colleague has more expertise. Challenge these assumptions by seeking counterexamples or alternative explanations. Ask yourself, is this always true, sometimes true, or rarely true? A growth mindset encourages you to believe that your intelligence and abilities can be developed through continuous learning and practice. When you have this mindset, you're more open to feedback. You're less attached to being right and more interested in growing your knowledge. You view challenges or mistakes as learning opportunities rather than failures. Reverse engineering is breaking down a complex idea, product, or situation into smaller, more understandable parts. In decision-making, this might mean starting with your desired outcome and working backwards, identifying each step and considering potential barriers or resources required. If you can envision the process in reverse, you can detect flaws or inefficiencies in your plan. Solid evidence, facts, data, credible research is the bedrock of critical thinking. Remember that anecdotes, personal stories, or isolated experiences are not always representative of the bigger picture. Seek out multiple data points, peer-reviewed studies, or expert consensus when grappling with important decisions. Groupthink can stifle individuality and lead to poor decisions. Make a habit of forming your own opinions before discussing them with a group. If you're part of a team, encourage each member to speak freely, without fear of judgment or ridicule. This diversity of perspectives often leads to more robust decision-making. As your critical thinking matures, you'll find yourself naturally asking deeper, more nuanced questions. Train yourself to be curious. Are there other considerations I should keep in mind before committing to this course of action? Could there be another perspective I'm missing? Have I verified my information from multiple reliable sources? What are the potential long-term consequences of this decision? These approaches aren't just theoretical, they're practical steps that you can begin implementing today, whether in your personal relationships, workplace, or personal development journey. Now let's talk about making critical thinking actionable in your day-to-day life. It helps to have a structured process, one that you can follow consistently whenever you need to make an important decision. Before making a choice, ask, what am I trying to achieve? Maybe you want to improve a relationship, choose the best college program, or expand your business. Clarifying your objective keeps you focused. Collect relevant information from reliable sources. Research. Conduct thorough research, comparing multiple sources to ensure accuracy. Ask experts. If it's a specialized area like legal advice or medical information, seek professionals' input. Observe and listen. Sometimes the best data comes from direct observation or listening carefully to those directly involved. Now, sort through the information. Identify patterns and contradictions. Do different sources conflict? Why might that be? Rank the evidence. Which pieces of data are most credible and relevant? Engage in constructive questioning, either with yourself or with others. This might involve brainstorming with a mentor or colleague, or writing in a journal. Play devil's advocate. Argue against your own perspective to test its strength. Test your assumptions. Check if they're based on facts or convenience. Once you've done your due diligence, it's time to make a choice. Don't fall into analysis paralysis, the trap of endlessly gathering data without ever acting. Weigh the pros and cons, trust your reasoned judgment, and then commit to a decision. After implementing your decision, review the results. Did the decision meet your objective? What worked well and what didn't? How can you improve future decision-making processes? By consistently following this process, you become more efficient, more confident, and more adept at handling life's complexities. That brings us to the end of today's video on critical thinking. Let's do a quick recap of a step-by-step process. Step 1. Clarify your objective. What are you trying to achieve? Step 2. Gather information. Collect relevant information from reliable sources and talk with experts. Step 3. Analyze and organize. Sort through the information. Identify patterns and contradictions and rank the evidence. Step 4. Question and challenge. Engage in constructive questioning, play devil's advocate, and test your assumptions. Step 5. Decide and act. Weigh the pros and cons, trust your reasoned judgment, and then commit to a decision. Step 6. Evaluate the outcome and adapt. After implementing your decision, review the results and make changes if necessary. And that's it. Critical thinking isn't a skill you master overnight, but rather a continuous process of learning, questioning, and evolving. By understanding what critical thinking is, recognizing barriers, and applying structured approaches, you set yourself on a path toward better decision-making in every area of life. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might benefit, and consider subscribing for more insights on personal growth and communication skills. Leave a comment below about what aspect of critical thinking you find most challenging. I'd love to hear your thoughts.